Both of us have had experience teaching the Bible in Japan, and you get a kind of tabula rasa experience where you don't have the preconceived notions. We're just going to read it.
From my point of view as a teacher of literature, I'm constantly getting the students to see more than just words on a page and trying to get them to visualize things. So I suppose that's part of what we'll be doing today. We're taking a look at this chapter and trying to see it as a description of something that we can visualize in some way.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And it presents a cosmic worldview that we'll get into when we look closely at it.
Well, let's jump in.
Yeah, let's jump in. All right, we're going to look at the King James Version. And John, you and I have agreed on this because it does have the most enormous cultural impact in the English-speaking world. And from a literary standpoint, it does resonate beautifully. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. It seems that this is something the writers here want to impose upon the consciousness of their culture, that God is making polar divisions between things. They're almost like in a computer world where you have 0, 1.
Yep.
So we will talk about how it's pre-scientific, but this is the beginning of a kind of scientific thinking where you divide this and that, dividing opposites.
In a kind of Aristotelian way, things belong in boxes, and there's a box for heaven and there's a box for earth, but there's no box for God. I mean, God precedes his creation.
Yes, that's something to think about. How you would get a tribal, this is obviously written for a tribal culture, desert culture of people who the writers want to form under an identity, under this one God that pre-existed everything, and just does this because he decides to. Okay, so the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep.
The deep here presumably means the sea.
I think so. I think nothingness and water closely associated here. We have chaos, I guess, and void, what is nothingness?
There's only darkness.
Yeah. The face of the deep. I wonder what made them come up with that, the face of the deep.
Yeah, it's got no form, but it's got a face.
That's right. It's a beautiful line.
Yeah.
It scans so well.
It
and
does.
The Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. Okay, there we have water with void and nothingness. And then God said, let there be light, and there was light. Now there you have it.
Right.
There's nothing in the void, there's darkness. Now there is light before you have the creation of sun. You have to create light first before you get to sun, moon, stars.
It's interesting the order in which things are created by God here, isn't it? Yes, yes.
It really is interesting, the order.
You get light because you've got darkness, and yet there's no light to contrast it with. And then God makes this light, and again, just as he's created heaven and earth in a binary kind of way, there's light and darkness now.
Yes, yes. And God saw the light, and it was good.
Everything that he does is described as being good here.
Yes. Light is good. Now, when I'm teaching this, I turn off the lights in class and remind the students, and it's usually something like 2 o'clock in the afternoon, but it goes dark. Even on a sunny day, it goes dark. I said, this is the best you get in a culture without electricity and so forth. And do any of you want me to turn the lights back on again? And oh yeah, please. There's something unsettling about darkness.
Right.
And light is good. There was light. God saw the light, and it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. Again, the division.
Yeah. I mean, it's implicit that God also created the darkness because he created the heaven and the earth was without form, and darkness was on the face of the deep. So it seems that God created the darkness as much as he created the earth. It's just that I'm thinking a little bit ahead here to issues like, did God create sin?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that's a big theological issue, you know, especially in the Middle Ages or early modern period, that everything that God created was good. So sin must have come from somewhere.
Yeah. And there are other sections where God seems to be a mover in a greater cosmos, as in competition with other gods. And
Right.
this God is more powerful, as we're told time and again. And
Right.
and is there something before God? Was there darkness before God, and then God becomes the prime mover after God somehow moves into the cosmos? I don't know. Yeah, called the light day, and the darkness he called night. So you have to name light and dark
Right.
in this new cosmos. It can't just be light and dark. It has to have names.
The naming of things is very important, isn't it? God shows all the animals and so on to man so that they can be named.
Yes. And again, day and night are the two divisions.
Yes.
Then the evening and the morning were the first day.
Right.
All right. So we think, John, I think of the day starts after 12 o'clock midnight, right? And I never think that way. You don't. None of us do. We do think of the day as sunrise, sunset.
Tend to, but here it seems to be that the day starts in the evening and goes through the night and then into the morning.